doing a review of some of the new items from the Fergie collection, or the Center Stage collection from Wet n Wild, that I recently picked up, as well as showing you how they function in a tutorial showing you how to create this very dramatic look. So if you'd like to see all that, please continue watching. So the first product I'm going to start off talking about is the Eyeshadow Primer. This is the Take on the Day Shadow Primer. It was $5.29 from the collection, and this is a flesh tone primer. It comes off on the skin when you first take it out of the tube. It looks semi-opaque, but then you shear it out and it really just shears out into nothing, which is really great because it's something that's kind of rare among drugstore eyeshadow primers. There aren't many primers to begin with, but it's even more rare that you find one that's flesh tone. So it was nice to see this, and it's one of the reasons why this was a must-have product for me to try, was because the more I'm still searching for that perfect drugstore primer to kind of replace Painterly or Urban Decay's Primer Potion, something along those lines. So that's why I got this. The first thing I did in this look was applied it all over the moving part of my eyelid, up to beneath my eyebrows, and then more onto my lower lash line. And the great thing about this is it stays kind of almost wet or like tacky for 20 to 30 seconds after you apply it, so it gives you some time to actually work with your eyeshadows, your pigments, whatever it is you're using. It'll make them extra pigmented as well as keep them lasting pretty much all day. I've worn this twice before now, and it's given me 8-hour wear, no problem, no creasing, no fading, which is a great thing from a primer, and pretty much what you should expect from a primer. So that is really great, and I think it's worth, I mean, every penny. Like I said before, it's $5.29, and it performs really well. Plus, in drugstores, finding a sheer to skin tone primer is a rarity, and so if you can find this, I recommend you pick it up. Then naturally I move on to the eyeshadows, and I'm using the Quad. Well, it's not a Quad, it has 5 shadows in it, and there are 4 of these palettes, I believe, that were released with this collection. The one that I am using is Metropolitan Nights, and I chose this because in the graphic that goes with the display at the Walgreens that I found it at, it looked like she had used this Quad to create the look she had. So I picked this up in kind of an effort to recreate the look she had and better see how these shadows perform. So to start off, I used the pewter shade all over my eyelid, and then I went in with the white frosty shade and pat that in my inner corner as well as my brow bone. Then to see how the yellow performed, I went ahead and pat that in between both the frosty white and the pewter color, and it wasn't as pigmented as I had hoped it to be, but you definitely do pick up on those yellow shimmers, but it's nowhere near as pigmented as I would have expected it to be. Then the last and most graphic part of this eye look was taking the deep black with gold shimmer in it and using it to cut a crease as well as wing it out a little bit on the outsides of the eye. And to do that, I used an e.l.f. brush. I think it is the Defining Eye brush. So any brush you have similar to that, or even just a tiny taper brush, would work well as well. Overall, I'm not really impressed with the shadow quality of these, considering what Wet n Wild typically puts out. For a palette that is $5.29, you get 5 shades, and I'd say honestly only one of them is a real winner, and that's the deep black with gold shimmer. It was really nicely pigmented, minorly powdery, but still pretty good for drugstore quality shadow. The rest just really fell flat for me. The pewter wasn't nearly as pigmented as I would have liked. The yellow was not pigmented, but I can deal with the sheer shadow if it wasn't just so powdery, and it really just ended up being gold or yellow glitter on my eye rather than any kind of sheer yellow wash. The white was decent, but definitely not something unique to the drugstore or really any eyeshadow realm. So this was just so-so for me, and considering it's $5.29 and what you typically get in their Color Icon 8-pan palettes, I believe, is $5.99, you know, for a few cents more, you get more shadows at better quality, and it just doesn't make sense to me to indulge in a palette like this when they make so many other better palettes. I forgot to mention that there are 4 eyeshadow palettes that came out with this collection, and obviously I can only speak from the one that I have experience with, so there's a solid chance that others of them produce better quality shadows, but for now I can't recommend this particular palette. To line the eyes, I used their cream liner from this collection. In that you get this small pot of cream liner. Obviously this is in the shade black, as well as what turns out to be a pretty nice brush, so which is pretty much to be expected in those kind of drugstore duos where you get the liner and the brush. This was nice, however, because again it's $5.29, it's kind of consistent within the collection, but It's half the price of its competitors in the drugstore, like Maybelline, and I think maybe Revlon has one. I'm not entirely sure, but I know Maybelline does, and it's half the price of that, and as it turns out, it performs really, really well. Sometimes I'm a little hesitant when it comes to cream liners because they don't often dry down and they kind of budge, they're not waterproof. I don't necessarily know that this is waterproof, but when it dries down, it's not moving anywhere. It lasted 10 hours plus. It was just, it performed phenomenally and definitely recommended, especially considering it might be the cheapest gel liner of its kind that I found in the drugstore. So this is a go from me. Then the last product I used to create this look from the Fergie collection was the shimmer palette in the shade Rosé Champagne Glow. And there were 3 of these palettes that came in this collection, or that you can find in this collection. One was an orangey, kind of terracotta, one was more of a brown, and then there is this one, which is a pink with champagne color running through it. Now this I had a hard time getting solid payoff on. I'm not sure if it's supposed to act as a blush or as a highlight, but either way, it took a lot of working with using a brush to get it to apply to my cheeks or my highlight area or whatever. And then even when I went in with a finger and tried to, you know, manually dab it on like that, there still just wasn't much there. So I'm not entirely sure what they wanted this to be, whether it was a full-on cheek color or a highlight, but kind of regardless, it didn't work as either. And considering this is the most expensive product that I purchased in this line at $6.29, whereas everything else was $5.29, I have to say it's definitely not worth it. The texture isn't as smooth as other highlighters can be, and it's a little chalky and flaky, but really above all else, it just didn't have good color payoff. So I would not recommend picking this up. Again, however, there are 2 others that come in this same collection, so I can't nix those, but I wouldn't recommend the Rosé Champagne Glow one. So that is how I got this look using these products from the Fergie collection, as well as my thoughts on each of these products. Just to reiterate, I had 2 yays, the eyeshadow primer and the cream liner, and 2 nays, the eyeshadows and the shimmer palette. So I would love to hear what you guys are thinking about all of these, whether you tried them, if you're planning on picking them up. Perhaps if you tried some of the other palettes of these 2 and found that you love them, I'd love to hear about that, because I don't want people thinking that the entire collection is just crap if, you know, some people have had them work for them. Also, something I wanted to let you know was that on the display that I found, there were dollar off coupons for the products, and unlike so many dollar off coupons you might find in drugstores, you can apply 1 coupon per product. It's not 1 coupon per order, so I got a total of $4 off my entire purchase. So just make sure if you see them, grab 1 for as many products as you're buying, because they can add up. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope it was helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!